Hi there, everyone. In other words, we just saw a huge crash in crypto less than 24 hours ago. When you look at the daily charts right now, it's really bad. There are losses of 20%, 30%, and even over 40% across the board. Even the best altcoins took a beating. Let's look at HBAR, which has dropped 18.5% in just the last 24 hours. That's not all. Other big altcoins like XRP, XLM, and Q&T are all down more than 12% today. Things are pretty rough outside. Now, for the million-dollar question, could this be the start of a bear market? Or could this be the last big drop before the biggest rebound this market has ever seen? In my opinion, the second choice is better, and I'll explain why in a moment. To begin, let us take a broad view of the damage done to the market as a whole. That's about 7.5% less than yesterday and 8% less than this week. Ethereum is even worse. It gives 11.6% per day and 14.5% per week. XRP is down 12.3% today and 17.3% for the week. This is where things get crazy. Even though they look bad, these losses aren't the worst we've seen. A lot of altcoins lost about 80% of their value in a single wave. You won't believe it, but what we're seeing with XRP and other coins isn't as bad as it could be. I know this is very hard to go through, especially if you're new to crypto, and I'm not going to sit here and say, oh well, we saw this every other month in the past cycles. But the truth is, we did. It's not really anything new. Say hello to instability. Take a look at this crypto thing. When we talk about how risky this space is, we usually mean those huge moves up, right? But keep in mind that instability can go both ways. The price goes up quickly and then drops quickly again. What do we do when these kinds of crashes happen? Our minds tell us right away that it's over. Everything is finished. We think this is just the start, though. When prices start going up like crazy, it will never end. It's all about feelings. This is what makes people respond this way. But I want you to understand this one thing about the whole thing. We'll make it through this. It's normal to have crashes like this. They have been a part of crypto since the beginning and will remain so. There's nothing new in this space, and this is not the end. Taking the charts apart. Now let's look at some key charts, which are where things really start to get interesting. The first thing we'll talk about is the chart of the overall altcoin market cap. Take a look at this level below. This correction was exactly as it should have been. We went back into areas of high demand that we haven't seen since 2024. That wick is also really big. It was a single daily candle that fell more than 21% from top to bottom. That's crazy. Now, I'm not saying that we've definitely reached the bottom. What I am saying is that this is the best place for us to find it. You can see this on the weekly chart. Let me show you one candle that everyone in the crypto world knows. The COVID crash is what I mean. The whole crypto market dropped 65% in just a few weeks, or about a month. 65%. Now look at where we are now and compare it to that. The market as a whole is down 24% right now. When you look at it that way, this is a pretty normal fix for crypto. It doesn't feel right because there's a lot more money in the market now. This is how prices usually move in crypto, especially in a market as volatile as this one. We just saw a $1 trillion drop. Now, let's look at the picture that only shows three things, not Bitcoin or Ethereum. I was sure that this would sell off. I just didn't think it would be this bad. I was hoped that the lows would stay higher in this area. We are still making a higher low than the bottom we hit in April, which was the absolute bottom for the whole market. That's good news. That being said, this is definitely a big sell-off. In just 1 week, the altcoin market fell more than 46%. Even by crypto standards, that's too far. When you zoom in on shorter time frames like 3-day or daily charts, things get interesting. The daily is really where it's at here. We're getting help at a very important level. That was the exact level where I thought we'd find support, around $691 billion. But RSI, or the Relative Strength Index, is what I'm most interested in right now. Look at how low we were in April and again in June. Both of them hit bottom around the same RSI level. Also, guess what? Right now, we're very close to those same bottom points. What does that mean? Prices may move around a bit more over the weekend, but we should be bottoming around these levels. In fact, I think this market has reached its lowest point with this latest move. That being said, if it's not, I would say that the crypto market is about to go dry. I don't think we are, but I'm being honest with you. If this turns out not to be the bottom, that's what I'd think about. The total market cap chart can be analyzed in the same way. We can see that the trend line looks a little different on the daily time frame since we're closer. But if you look at the daily view, the absolute lowest point was in February, March, and April of this year. Our RSI has a little more room to fall. As I already said, there might be more choppier sideways trading before the end of the week. In terms of the weekly close, that's what I'm really concentrating on at the moment. I want to see the price close above some of these recent lows more than anything else. I'd really like for us to close above $3.71 trillion and also a little above this trend line, the waiting game, and a look at the stock market. We just need to wait and see how things go from here on out. Right now, I want a little more pain when it comes to stocks. I know that sounds crazy, but hear me out. I'm interested in the area of 6,446 to 6,521. That would be the same thing as trying some of these old highs again. After that, we'd probably keep going until we reach $7,000 or more. That April bottom might be something we look at again. Also, look at the RSI. The whole thing was wiped out. This is pretty much a restart. Plus, we really needed this reset anyway. This is something I talked about in a few videos before the sell-off. It was way too early to buy the RSI. Our price was still well above where it should have been when you looked at the weekly report. The moving average was just broken, and I think we're in for a little more pain. When you look at the structure of the lower time frame, you can see that the RSI was already showing bearish divergence, even though prices kept going up. We knew that a big drop was going to happen. We just didn't think it would be this brutal. In spite of the short-term pain, this is actually very good for the market from a technical point of view. Based on what the experts say now, there is one person you should follow in this space.